This is my application for a South African husband. I'm making baboti. And girl needs a husband because she needs a long stay visa. So the dating apps right now in Cape Town are about to get real not great because the tourist season is coming up and it's gonna be real hard to find a South African man in the pool of tourists. So please send in your eligible bachelors between the ages of 26 to 35. I don't mind a bore, you know, like I need some land. I need a farmer. I think I need a farmer. I would like to wear pretty dresses and cook food, but please, no deeply misogynistic people. However, I'm gonna make the South African dish of South Africa, baboti. It is a spiced mince meat, sometimes with lamb, usually with beef, with a custard poured on top. And no, I'm probably not saying it right. I know that I'm not saying it right. I just don't have an accent, and it's really hard to say words properly when you don't have the accent to actually say them. And before we continue, I love to cook.
I like to do yoga. I enjoy spending time in nature, camping and hiking, having intellectual conversations about philosophy and psychology. 3 children, a garden, and maybe some goats, some chickens, some ducks.
If you know anybody, let me know. To clarify, I'm kidding, not kidding. Like I'm kidding, not kidding, you know what I mean? Okay, let's get into this baboti. I'm first going to chop a couple onions, and this is the first time I am ever making this dish. However, I've now looked at way too many recipes and feel like I know what's going on. If you watched my last video, I attempted to make malva pudding. Some of you guys were very kind saying it was a good attempt for my good first attempt at malva pudding, and I really appreciate that encouragement. It inspires me to try again, you know? That was not my application for a South African husband because I knew I wasn't gonna do it right. This is because I think I'm gonna do it right because I love cooking. Cooking is where it's at for me. That's my element. Garlic is not in all of the recipes that I've seen online, but I am going to opt in to garlic just because I think it always adds a nice depth of flavor to recipes. Almost forgot, this recipe requires 2 slices of bread. Most recipes take the crust off. I think all recipes take the crust off. I'm a crust girl. I'm gonna follow the rules on this one because this is my application to be a wife. So I'm gonna just, you know, be a good little girl. But dude, what is happening to me right now? Now I'm gonna soak this in 1 cup of milk. I know, it's weird. It's weird, it's happening. And we're just gonna set that aside. I'm also going to mince a small nub of ginger. And to get the skin off of ginger, all you gotta do is take a spoon and gently just like rub the spoon, I guess, over the skin, and the skin comes off really, really well without having to cut extra ginger and wasting extra ginger. Ginger is expensive, guys. So she's even economical. I'm gonna zest an entire lemon. This isn't in a lot of recipes, but it was in a couple of them, and I absolutely love lemon zest. Like, it just levels things up in my opinion, and this is my application, so I'm taking it seriously. I'm gonna juice this lemon as well and just keep it aside. You don't need a juicer, okay? Shove a fork in your lemon and twist. Again, I'm economical. Preferably someone tall that can reach the top shelves. I'm 5'2". I'm sorry. 157 centimeters. So it's not that hard to be taller than me. Okay, I'm adding a couple tablespoons worth of olive oil into this pot. See, a relationship is like a pot. I want a poikie. I need a poikie in my life. I need someone with a poikie, or someone that is willing to buy me a poikie, because I also want to be a girl at the braai over the fire making the dish in the poikie, okay? These are my dreams. But a relationship is like one. It takes a while to warm up. It takes a while to be ready. I don't know what I'm saying. I've lost the plot. I've lost the plot. She's lost the plot. Onions are going in first. And we're just looking to get a nice little brown on these. Adding a pinch of salt. I'm gonna add 1 kilo of minced ground beef from Woolworths. Woolworths. People are saying I needed to go to jail for how I pronounce Woolworths because I always say Woolworths. Okay, so almost all of the meat is no longer red. So I'm gonna add the ginger, garlic, and lemon zest, along with a heaping tablespoon, I'd say a tablespoon and a half of curry powder, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of turmeric. This is not in every single recipe, but I'm gonna add a little bit of chili. And immediately this went from smelling gross to smelling amazing. Something that's also gonna add a lot of depth of flavor is half of a bouillon cube, half of a soup stock cube. I'm just going to crumble that. Actually, I'm gonna do a whole one. Taste. I'm gonna add another teaspoon of curry powder. Completely reduce the heat, adding that lemon juice and 3 tablespoons of chutney. I'm also going to add a handful of raisins, or sultanas, you guys call them. This whole dish is meant to be sweet, savory, and also very sour as well. That's where that lemon juice and that lemon zest comes in. Retaste. Bad quality. Sometimes a little too eager. Sometimes a little clumsy. May need supervision, but you might like that. So. Okay, so the bread in the milk wasn't just for no reason, just to sit aside and rot. I am gonna squeeze the milk. I know, gross. Don't ask me why. I didn't come up with this recipe. Well, you can ask me why. It's for texture. It's to bind the meat together. And chuck it in. I'm gonna mix that together now. The rest of this milk is not going to waste. One thing I've realized is that I think South Africans love custard because malva pudding is typically served with custard or ice cream or both. And now I'm making a little custard to go on baboti. And I actually love custard. I had a little custard tart earlier today from Woolworths. Amazing. Okay, so this is typically done in like a large casserole dish. And I was thinking to do it in here and just pop this in the oven, but I don't think it's gonna, I think it's gonna be too thick. Okay, now that I got this spread out, I'm going to pour this custard mixture on top. Adding a few bay leaves that I dried myself, by the way, resourceful. I think this is actually just to add a nice aroma and a little visual appeal to the dish as well. Otherwise, it just kind of looked like a weird, soupy, weird mess when it comes out of the oven. I forgot to salt my custard. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt on top. Not every recipe does this, but I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper. Okay, oven is preheated to 185, which is 3-ish 50 Fahrenheit. I'm gonna pop this in. Fix my bay leaves. Oh, it's hot in here. Can handle the heat. And now we wait for the South African men to flock because the aromatics, the smell of my baboti is going to attract them from all corners of South Africa. Okay, so obviously part of this is a bit, but I do want to take a second to talk about dating in South Africa because when I first got here, 1, I had a boyfriend, and then 2, when we broke up and I started like thinking about dating again, I was like, what is the dating pool here? Like I was scared to go on dating apps. I'm like, I'm gonna get kidnapped. and all of the horrible things. So that's not the case. I'd love to tell the tale that most South African men on these dating apps that like genuinely want to go out on dates with you are nice people. And there is a difference, however, between Cape Townian men and Joburg men and Garden Route men. There's a difference. I actually haven't gone on a date with a northern man. We need to cross all of or an interior guy. I have open available slots for a northern South African man and an interior South African man. I will create a Google Calendar for you. However, Cape Townian men, a little more lax, a little more chill, a little more, yeah, brew, a little more, let's Joel this weekend, brew. Joburg men, running to open your car door for you. Slow to lean into that little thigh touch, a little hand touch, slow to lean into those things. They're a little bit more cautious. They're in the dating pool because they were raised Christian and they've been bothered by their parents for the last however many years, since they were probably 21 years old, to get married, settle down, and have children. And so they're in the dating pool for this. And we feel their energy. Garden Route men. A little mix between the two, actually. They got that lax energy, they love their nature, but also calm, confident, subtle. With all of this said, me growing up in Canada, there's a lot more like liberal mindsets in all people, I would say, in Canada, because Christianity, religion isn't as much of like a prominent thing in like Canadian culture. I don't even really know what Canadian culture is because it's just a melting pot. But what I grew up around was just kind of not a lot of like roots in anything particular. Everyone just kind of tried their best in a way. In South Africa, there's a lot of religious roots, whether that's Islam or Christianity or Judaism. The Abrahamic religions are very much here and still quite prominent in how people make their decisions when it comes to dating. It's not, a hard and fast rule. Cape Townian men, I find a lot more lax in that area. Or if the man has a European passport and a South African passport, also typically quite lax when it comes to their dating situations. This is information that I have gathered and I'm ready to share with the world. So dating here has been very interesting because I feel like I have these like kind of paradoxes in my mind where I want a man to be chivalrous, but I actually haven't really known a lot of chivalrous men. Like at first when these things happen, I was like, this is uncomfortable. Like this is weird. I don't like it. I don't ever want to see this person ever again. But then I thought about it. I'm like, why am I having this reaction? It's just because nobody's ever really done that for me before. How ridiculous is that? I want a man to open my door. That sounds nice. That's great. We enjoy this behavior. But I also was like raised with these, more libertarian, I guess, like constructs, or like in the more libertarian country. So there's many things that I have like had to quote unquote get used to or like break down inside of myself. However, I do still have the stance that just because I naturally will fall into a more quote unquote feminine role and I'll choose somebody that naturally falls into a more quote unquote masculine role, doesn't mean it's for everyone. And that has been like a sticking point, or I guess like argument in some way, to express that it isn't for everyone. And I don't ever want to like live in a mind frame where I have to tell someone that they're doing something wrong just because it's different than my relationship or what I want. However, please do not send me any men that do yachting. Can't do that. Although no men have rung my doorbell yet, it is a long drive from Joburg, so I will forgive them. Hopefully they'll make it here in the next 15 hours, so that way the bobotie is still good. Well, I guess I should see if it's good first. I mean, yeah, it's not bad for my first attempt. I feel like it could actually need more tang to it. A few tablespoons of red wine vinegar in the recipe, and I think that would just land me the finest man in all of the land. I'm gonna need some vegetables after this though. Date, but he ended up being French, so not my type. It was fine. Not gonna see him again. It's not because he was French. I mean, a little bit. It's like, I don't know what he's saying like half the time, so. In my opinion, dating is pretty complex in general, and even more so when you're from another country, another continent. But to me, genuine connection is what's really important, whether that's with a friend or a potential partner, and that doesn't necessarily come from where you were raised. It more so comes from being able to relate to another person's story and slowly build trust and safety with them. So that way you guys can both lean into your authenticity while around each other. I think I'm so cool. I can hang out with the DJ before I go and see him. What? Crazy!
Technically are a collaborator. So
I'm like an artist.
you are an artist. Not like you are.
Stop! Make me blush.
Although I may not understand the ideas that some South African people hold, I think there's a level of humanity here that I really love. People really understand the horrific things that people are capable of here, while also holding space for so much kindness and openness. There's real polarity in South Africa, and I hesitate to say it's beautiful because the one end of the spectrum really isn't, but I think it gives perspective in some beautiful way. And so with that, I hope to see you again in the next video, and I'm sending you all so much love.